Assembly.
And after that, there was a ruling rendered by the Honorable Madam Speaker in which she reminded the House that on Wednesday, 14th June 2023, when the House was considering the report of the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs on the review of the administration and operations of Zambia Police Service, Mr. Mutotwe Kafwaya, Member of Parliament for Lunte, raised a point of order as to whether the acting Minister of Finance and National Planning, Honorable Charles Milupi MP, was in order to mislead the House by purporting to have brought a deposit slip for 65 million seized by the Anti-Corruption Commission ACC when in fact not.
Before rendering her ruling, Madam Speaker gave a detailed background of the circumstances that led to the point of order and observed that the matter regarding the 65 million kwacha forfeited to the state had continued to attract a lot of interest both in the House and in the nation at large. And so in that regard, she directed that in order for the matter to be addressed conclusively, the Minister of Finance and National Planning should issue a detailed statement clarifying the matter on Wednesday, 21st June 2023.
And after that ruling, the House went on to consider questions for oral answer number 290, Understanding Order 76.
The House went on to consider the report of the Committee on Media, Information and Communication Technologies on the role of the Zambia Information and Communication Technology Authority in the fight against cyber crimes for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 13th June 2023. And so this was moved by Engineer Raphael Mavenga, Mulobezi Member of Parliament, and it was seconded by Mr. Sidin Mushanga, Watcher Member of Parliament. And so it was resolved in the affirmative, meaning this report was adopted.
And after that, there was resumption of debate on the motion that was moved by Mfue Member of Parliament, Maureen Mabonga, in which she urged the House in which was urging the House that they do adopt the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources on the effectiveness of the Department of Veterinary Services in combating livestock diseases in Zambia for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 7th June 2023. And of course, the question was put and it was agreed to, the report was adopted.
There was also resumption of the report of the Zambian delegation to the 13th Ordinary Session of the Plenary Assembly of the Forum of Parliaments of the Member States of the International Conference on the Great Lakes Region held in Juba, South Sudan from 27th March to 1st April 2023 for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 6 June 2023. And so this was moved by Kawoma Member of Parliament, Brigadier General Sitwala, retired, and a question was put, it was agreed to, meaning this report was also adopted. And so the House adjourned accordingly at 18:31 hours. And so that is basically business that was considered on the floor of the House yesterday, Thursday, 15th June 2023. Just now we look at details of the order paper. We have two questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74, and we have a motion that will be moved by Kalomo Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Harry Kamboni. This is the report of the Zambian delegation to the 146 Inter-Parliamentary Union Assembly and related meetings held in Manama, Kingdom of Bahrain from 11th to 15th March 2023 for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 6 June 2023.
Yes, we look at one of the questions that are expected to be considered on the floor of the House. This is coming from Mongo Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Oliver Amutike MP, and he wants to find out from the Minister of Health when the construction of the following facilities in Mongo Central District, Mongo District Hospital will be completed, and these are wards, operating theaters and mortuaries, and when the ambulances will be procured. And just now we go to the floor of the House, and as we can see now, the picture of the over there is the Speaker's procession making their way into the
prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have one announcement to make, and this is to the effect that I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Longe, Presentation, Mahila, Chilombo, Kaoma, Luena Barracks, and Mulamatila secondary schools. These are from Kaoma district. They are accompanied by members of staff from WISE Zambia, a non-governmental organization based in Kaoma district of Western Province that offers educational scholarships to vulnerable learners in the named secondary schools up to tertiary level of education. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, and indeed on my own behalf, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. For the information of the honorable members, I happened to be a student at Mulamatila Primary School. So it's so exciting to see my grandchildren coming to the house today. You are welcome. Thank you very much. Matters of urgent public importance. There's one coming from the honorable member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm rising on a matter of public.
Sorry, I thought it was the normal business. I've skipped a lot of the items. The next item, I think I was confused because I didn't see the acting leader of government business. Maybe we have one in the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs. The business statement, the acting leader of government business.
Madam Speaker, I would like to seek your indulgence before I make the business statement on the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, you may have noted that there have been malicious reports in the social media indicating that Her Honor, the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia, has gone on indefinite leave and that she's not working. Madam Speaker, the correct position is that Her Honor, the Vice President, is the current acting President of the Republic of Zambia. That is why she's not in the House to continue her usual duties as leader of government business. This has emanated from the decision of the world leaders that President Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, be amongst the 6 eminent presidents on the African continent to broker a peace process between Russia and Ukraine. As Zambians, Madam Speaker, and the Africans, we are so proud of these eminent presidents who are brokering the peace between Russia and Ukraine. As a result of that important mission, Her Honor the Vice President is the acting President of the Republic of Zambia. Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I would like to present the business for the House for next week. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Thursday, 15th June 2023 to determine and schedule businesses of the House for next week, covering the period 20th to 23rd June 2023. In this regard, the committee resolved to lay before the House the following business for consideration. A, announcements. The Honorable Madam Speaker may make announcements to the House on any day when it is necessary to do so. B, rulings. The Honorable Madam Speaker may render rulings if there will be any. C, ministerial statements. Honorable ministers may make ministerial statements if there will be any. D, private members' motions. The following private members' motions will be presented. Name of the Honorable Member, Mr. Mukosa K. will introduce a motion entitled Introduce Correlation Coefficiency Between Salaries for Civil Servants and Economic Factors, to be presented on 21st June 2023. Bills. The bills listed here under will be considered. 1. The Environmental Management Amendment Bill number 6 of 2023, second reading. Date to be determined. C. 2. The National Prosecution Authority Amendment Bill, second reading. Date to be determined. The Human Rights Commission Bill number 8 of 2023, second reading. Date to be determined. The Zambia Institute of Evaluation, second reading. Date yet to be determined. F, reports on international conferences. Reports on international conferences will be considered if there will be any. G, parliamentary committee reports. The House will consider committee reports that will be tabled during the period. The Healthy Community Development and Social Services Committee, subject matter review of the operations of the Flying Doctor Service. The date of consideration will be 20th June 2023. Education, Science and Technology Committee. They will present a report on the free education policy in Zambia, opportunities and challenges. It will be considered on 21st June 2023. Committee on Transport Works and Supply. They will present a report on operations and management of Zambia Airways, challenges and opportunities. The report will be tabled and considered on 22nd June 2023. The Legal Affairs, Human Rights and Governance Committee will present a review of the administration and the operations of the judiciary in the delivery of justice in Zambia. The report will be considered on 23rd June 2023. H. Questions. Honorable Ministers will respond to 20 questions for oral answer as set out hereunder. The details of the questions are contained in the notices of questions circulated to all honorable members. Question number 236, Tuesday, 20th June 2023. Question number 257 on finance will be on 20th June 2023. 297 to the Minister of Home Affairs on the same date, 20th June. 264 on education, and 310 on tourism. On Wednesday, Madam Speaker, the following questions will be on the order paper. Question number 242, 254, 355, 265, 368. On Thursday, 22nd June 2023, the following questions will be on the order paper. Question number 367, 307, 345, 285, and 274. On Friday, 23rd June 2023, the following questions will be on the order paper. Question 266, 286, 294, 308, and 334. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House Business Committee and in accordance with Standing Order number 185 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021, I have the pleasure to present the business for next week to this August House. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. We go back to the matters of urgent public importance. There was one indication, the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you for according me, on behalf of the people of Kalabo, to rise on a matter of urgent public importance. I'm a sad man as I'm standing here, and a very disappointed person. Madam Speaker, for the first time, Kalabo residents have lived a free life. I would like to give a short background, Madam Speaker. Because of the geographical terrain,
The Honorable Member, the matter of urgent public importance is directed at which ministry?
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker. It's directed at the Minister of Agriculture.
Proceed precisely and concisely state the matter of urgent public importance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yesterday, I received a call that was around 7 hours, indicating that there was a critical shortage of milk in the whole township, resulting in the surrounding also not to access milk. And the cause of that shortage is the new rule of seeking permits. So the people, those traders in Kalabo, are finding it difficult to access and acquire the milk they need to supply so that the people there buy. As I'm speaking to you, there's no shop in Kalabo that is selling milk. Yesterday, I attempted, after receiving that news, firstly, I attended the committee meeting. So from the committee meeting, I rushed to the Ministry of Agriculture. And there at the Ministry of Agriculture, the minister was not available. The PS was not available. I went to the office of Madam Mwape. I lodged that situation. I was given a number of Mr. Zulu, the one who is the officer who is responsible with the permits. And I had a conversation with him. I agreed according to his explanation, and I believed his words. And I hoped that the truck which is impounded at Nausanga would be released yesterday so that the people today can buy milk. But alas, Madam Speaker, the civil servants are there to serve the people. But secondly, rules are made to serve the people. But they have not stolen those traders. Madam Speaker, there's no smuggling of milk in Kalabo. We don't sell milk to Angola. Angolans don't buy milk from Kalabo. What we sell to Angola are cattle, chickens, ducks, and other foodstuffs. You can't sell milk to Angola. So we don't know smuggling in Kalabo. So we are suffering because of these rules which have been indiscriminately applied. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I noticed that the Honorable Minister of Agriculture is not here, but because of issues of hunger, stomach, and the manner in which the Honorable Member for Kalabo has presented his matter of urgent public importance, I'll ask the Honorable Acting Leader of Government Business to make a comment on that situation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to assure my colleague, Honorable Miutu, and the people of Kalabo.
Can we have some order? Let's listen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to assure my colleague, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kalabo, and the people of Kalabo that appropriate measures will be taken this morning to ensure that the trucks that are impounded at that junction are released and the people of Kalabo access the millimem.
Thank you very much. So with that assurance, we'll wait to hear on Tuesday whether that issue has been attended to. So the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central, please come back to the House and just state whether the matter has been addressed. Thank you very much. Let's make progress. Let's make progress. Are these matters of urgent public importance or follow-ups? There has been an assurance. I think we shouldn't waste a lot of time on that. There's been an assurance that the matter will be attended to, so there's no need of flogging a dead horse or pushing an open door. Can we make progress? I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Health to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity, and good morning. Madam Speaker, I thank you for according me this opportunity to update the House and the public on the increasing incidence of COVID-19 in Zambia. The House may wish to recall that on Wednesday, 14th of June 2023, the Honorable Madam Speaker directed that a ministerial statement be issued on the coronavirus diseases 2019 COVID-19 situation in the country. This directive followed a matter of urgent public importance raised by the Honorable Andeleke, by Honorable Mr. Andeleke, Member of Parliament for Katombola Parliamentary Constituency. Madam Speaker, Zambia indeed has noted an increasing trend of COVID-19 cases since 16th of May 2023, during which time we have recorded 1,504 cases, compared to only 195 cases recorded the preceding 3 weeks. This clearly shows an increasing incidence of cases. our test positivity rate over the last 2 weeks has averaged at 5%, further highlighting this increase. Sadly, we have lost 2 patients to COVID-19 within the past week, after having not recorded any lives lost to COVID-19 in over 2.5 months, to be particularly 74 days. Of the deceased is an 83-year-old man who was admitted to Ndola Teaching Hospital and demised on 11th of June 2023. And the other one is also 83-year female who was admitted to Kasempa District Hospital and demised yesterday. In the last 24 hours alone, Zambia recorded 178 new cases out of 2,320 tests done, representing a daily positivity of 8%. The new cases were reported across 31 districts in the following 6 provinces: Copperbelt Province, 69 cases out of 385 tested; Luapula, 9 out of 124 tested; Lusaka, 29 out of 460 tested; Muchinga Province, 5 out of 129 tested; Northwestern, 15 out of 892 tested; Southern Province, 5 out of 310 tested; and Western Province, 0 out of 37 tested. The cumulative number of cases now stands at 345,527, including 4,060 deaths. While the incidence of COVID-19 cases remains considerably low, we note a rise in daily cases detected, as well as test positivity, and continue to admit a few cases. Currently, Madam Speaker, there are 794 active cases, 12 of whom are admitted to hospitals in Lusaka, Copperbelt, and Northwestern provinces. In the last 24 hours, we have admitted 7 new cases. The patients are admitted to University Teaching Hospital, UTH, Maina Soko Hospital, and Fairview Hospital. So in UTH we have 2, Maina Soko 1, Fairview Hospital 1 in Lusaka. Ndola Teaching Hospital has 4, whilst Nchanga North General Hospital has 2, and Kalulushi District Hospital has 1 on the Copperbelt, and Mukingi Mission Hospital has 1 in Northwestern Province. Of the 12 currently in admission, 2 patients are on oxygen, 1 at Lusaka's Maina Soko Military Hospital and the other at Nchanga North General Hospital on the Copperbelt. Only 1 patient is classified as critical. Madam Speaker, of the admitted, 3 are vaccinated against COVID-19, whilst 9 are not vaccinated. Madam Speaker, we have not recorded any new COVID-19 variant. The Zambia National Public Health Reference Laboratory reported that out of the 57 samples that were sequenced, all the cases are of the Omicron variant, with the majority of cases, that is about 51%, being of genotype XBB, followed by XBB 1.16 at 23%, then XBB 1.5 at 9%, BA2 and BA5 were of equal prevalence at 7%, while BA4 and BA2.75 were in at 2% each. Meanwhile, as we investigate through sentinel sites for tracking respiratory illnesses, The UTH Virology Laboratory has also been isolating influenza viruses. The rise in cases may be attributed to the cold weather, a season associated with increasing respiratory infections. While the government has not put up any restrictions, we encourage those not yet vaccinated to do so and be protected from severe COVID-19 disease. I'm happy to inform you, Madam Speaker, that over 11,450,000 individuals have been vaccinated with at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccines, while 9,282,139 are fully vaccinated. To manage COVID-19 and other respiratory diseases, including the common cold, let us wear masks and practice cough etiquette by sneezing and coughing into your elbow or a disposable tissue if not masked. Please dispose of the tissues in a toilet or designated and secured waste bins. Good hand hygiene practices remain a very effective way of reducing transmission to other persons. So it is important to frequently wash your hands with soap and water or use alcohol-based sanitizers. Madam Speaker, globally, COVID-19 is said to no longer be a public health emergency of international concern. However, we will continue to isolate cases over time. We recognize that the status of the pandemic has de-escalated, but that does not mean COVID-19 is over as a global and indeed national health threat. What is of importance is that we protect ourselves through vaccination and taking up booster doses for those already vaccinated to avoid severe illness. Like we saw with the influenza H1N1 pandemic in 2009 to 2010, the pandemic came to an end in 2010. But to date, we are still isolating other viruses. Madam Speaker, I want to state here that it is important for members of the public on their own to take the necessary measures. It is not our intention currently as government to put any restrictions, but we just wish to call upon members of the public, members of parliament who are leaders, to please encourage our communities to ensure that they take personal responsibility of this issue of COVID-19. Even here as members of parliament, Madam Speaker, it will help us to ensure that we wear masks because we are very squeezed and you don't know who has it. All I can say, prevention is better than cure. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask points of clarification on the ministerial statement that has been given by the Honorable Minister of Health. The Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you for your statement. My question is government ready with resources in case of an escalation in terms of infection rates? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for that important follow-up question. I want to state that government is always ready for any pandemic that would break out. But it is important for the public to know that this readiness is never sufficient. So to that effect, it is important that individuals begin to take responsibility of their own health, Madam Speaker. Because Prevention is always better than cure. Medical bills are very expensive worldwide. And to expect that if there's going to be a pandemic, this government will be 100% would be misleading each other. So my humble advice to my colleagues in this House, and indeed to the public, is please, please, let us take precaution. If you can wear a mask, wear a mask. Always wash your hands. And just keep away from bad crowds. If you are jumping on a minibus which windows are closed, really, isn't it even better for you to get even your chitenge and just close your nose if you can't afford a mask? But let us take precautions. At the moment, I'm aware that a number of people that have COVID, some of them are even prescribing themselves. They have not even gone to report themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nkana.
Madam Speaker, it's clear that masks are a critical intervention to prevent COVID. Yesterday, I visited about 6 chemists. I could not find a single mask. Is there an intention by government, Madam Minister, to make masks available? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, I'm not very sure. I have to find out. And what I can say is that the small business women out there, the youths, can begin to make masks and make a business. There's an opportunity there. If indeed we don't have masks, as the Honorable Member is saying, especially now during cold season, I think Zambians should now desist from importing simple things that we ourselves can do. If you look at the beginning of COVID, there was a lot of wastage of resources on masks. And I think as a country now, we believe Zambia can produce masks. Having said this, I will check, Madam Speaker, on this. Suffice to say that I know that ZAMSA does have masks in stock. As to whether the stock that they have is sufficient is something I have to come back and maybe I'll tell the Honorable Member of Parliament. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Minister, you've given the House statistics of the tests that are being done. My question is, are these tests being done randomly or you've got targeted groups that you are testing? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you for that important question. Madam Speaker, you will note from the numbers of people that have been tested that really they are quite low. One would imagine if there was massive testing, what would be the results? The point also to note in the statistics is that we have gone beyond 5% positivity, which is a bad indicator, even from the small samples that have been taken. But specifically to the question, I want to say that in the past, every person who went into the hospital was tested, especially the pregnant mothers. I think last week we did give that indication to the hospitals to begin testing again all the pregnant mothers that are reporting to the hospitals. I want to believe that these tests that have been indicated may well be from the hospitals, but I'm not sure, Madam Speaker, whether they are randomly taken or whether they are from the hospitals. Looking at the numbers, which are quite small, I will have to come back with a better answer to that. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister of Health, there is some information that is going around that people are dying suddenly because of the vaccinations which were conducted. I would want you to clear this so that individuals like some of us who got vaccinated can be safe.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for that very important question, but also a serious question that would require a statement from the Minister of Health, because where I'm standing here, I'm not aware that there is any report that has come to the ministry to the effect that any person has died because of being vaccinated. What we know is that it is those who are not vaccinated who have died. And if anyone who was vaccinated has died, it could be that that person may have had other complications. You note that normally people with multi or other implications in terms of health or illnesses normally are the ones that easily even catch COVID. Now, if you have another disease and then you catch COVID, you find that your chances of survival obviously are lesser than a person like me, who may just be suffering from a COVID. And so, Madam Speaker, that question is important, but I must answer that I have not received any such such reports. Madam Speaker, if I may be allowed to answer also the earlier question on the samples, the answer is that testing is on all who present with symptoms to the health facilities. So meaning that those figures that I've announced here in terms of how many were tested, it is those that have been going to the hospitals, and when they see that this person's symptoms could be COVID, they have deliberately made a test, and these are the results. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Health. Minister of Health, in your statement, you have mentioned to say some of the victims who have tested positive, they were once vaccinated. Yeah. So how safe are we here in Parliament and in churches, schools? How safe are we to still not follow COVID guidelines like social distance, and and also masking in schools and Parliament, and also in what? Because it will be very expensive to have 10 by-elections here if COVID can hammer this house.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So
now you are debating.
I seek your answer, Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament for Petauke, for your important question. Madam Speaker, firstly, let me say that in terms of the numbers, I said we had 12 patients and 3, I can't remember the numbers, let me not mislead you. But I think what we had said, that of the 12, I think that had died, 3 were vaccinated, 9 were unvaccinated cases. Just from those numbers, you can tell that those of us that are vaccinated, even when we get sick from COVID, you find that COVID is very mild. These are the cases of people who are not even presenting themselves to the hospital. But this is not to say that you should not. You should always, even if it's a simple cold, because you never know. The point to make, Madam Speaker, is simply as follows. Once you are vaccinated, you have done your booster, your chances of getting COVID, if I may be loose in my words, is 3%. But for those who are not vaccinated, the chances of you getting COVID if you're not vaccinated and you come across a person with COVID are 90%. So obviously, even just common sense tells you that you are safer to be vaccinated. Look, you can't have the whole world telling you vaccinate and the whole world is vaccinating. Only you in the village here called Zambia, you think that you should not get vaccinated and you are going to be safe. That is not being smart. Smart people learn from others. When you see others, even your own president, even Honorable Kampyongo is vaccinated. So the people of Shwangandu will have to be smart. They have to know that if our MP, whom we elected, is vaccinated, let us follow him. You see? So we learn from others and we look from others. And you can see that all the members here, there was only one MP who was not vaccinated. But when I spoke to him, he went and got vaccinated. And he's looking very healthy up to now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm just trying to balance the debate. Honorable Member for Kavata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Surely, Honorable Minister, the numbers of the COVID cases are rising and the deaths are worrying, the statistics that you have given us. I wanted to find out, how prepared is the ministry in terms of stock levels of test kits and the drugs that are used for COVID? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
I think it's a similar question like the one that was asked earlier, but I'll say that we are not fully, if there was an outbreak, for example, like the first one that we had in terms of test kits, I wouldn't say that would be 100% ready. But currently, we do have stocks throughout the country. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Mansa Central.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Minister, clearly the numbers that you've indicated raise alarm. The positivity rate raises alarm. The number of tests that we are doing is still very low, and I hear you state that you may not know if we are ready. You may not be ready if there was an escalation. Surveillance is key as you manage COVID. And to determine the exact extent of the problem in the country, it is critical that we do a lot of tests. Do you have any plans to procure test kits so that you scale up community testing and indeed any other forms of surveillance? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable, for your follow-up question. Madam Speaker, I did indicate that currently testing is going on throughout the country in all the hospitals, except that it is not compulsory like last time that everybody had to do a test as long as you were admitted or you are presenting yourself. These specific numbers are not random tests. The numbers I've presented here are those who showed symptoms they had to show. Not everybody who presented them in the hospital. The issue of test kits, Madam Speaker, are the same issues of all other commodities. ZAMSA has placed an order, and these test kits hopefully should be in the country with the consignment that is expected end of this month or early next month. And apart from that, it is also important to inform members of Parliament and the public that we have a fully fledged operating Zambia National Public Health Institute that is doing surveillance every day now and everywhere. And with the implementation of decentralization, it is hoped that surveillance will even increase more. So, Madam Speaker, members of the public must know that as a government, we will not be seated when we expect this kind of pandemic to become worse anytime. So even as I speak, I'm also aware that ZNPHI, ZAMSA, Ministry of Health, and health facilities, especially the big hospitals, are already on alert and getting themselves even prepared. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to pose a follow-up question on the Honorable Minister's statement. But before I do, just allow me to commend the new acting leader of government business for clarifying matters, surrounding the office of our honor, the Vice President, because we too were beginning to wonder, as today, Madam Speaker, marks the 4th Friday, if we have to count the other Fridays prior to the adjournment.
Honorable Member, you are just
Without
putting
engaging our honor, the Vice President.
petrol on the fire. I think the matter has been settled. Let's leave it at that.
I understand, Madam Speaker, but we have to place our concerns on record as well. We miss her. Honorable Minister, we have taken note of your submissions, and I think you have done well, because we only saw you wearing a mask out of all of us. So we are beginning to just wonder. And I just want to slightly disagree with you that, yes, Zambia could be a village, but a civilized village. And so we have to move with the rest of the world. May I just know what other measures you would pronounce to the nation as a rider to the Honorable MP for Petaoke Central? Those who are gathering in public places, schools, churches, and other events, what would you be pronouncing now without, taking a midline so that people know exactly what needs to be done? And what do we expect in terms of your members of the citizens that will be traveling, beyond borders? Do we expect other measures as you are interacting with other countries? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member, for that important question. I think, like I said earlier, social responsibility, personal health responsibilities must be taken by every individual. Like he said himself, out of 150 plus members of parliament, I decided, I said, I've heard that in China, the numbers are rising. And I know there are a lot of visitors coming in and out of this country now. Let me put on mask. Even now, there are few members, few staff that are putting on masks. They are making their personal decision. It is important that as citizens of Zambia, we begin to take personal responsibility of our health. Once the government makes an announcement and tells you that, oh, there's an outbreak, can you please take note? It's up to you as an individual, and that's why I said those who are smart will take precautions. Those who are not smart enough may not take the necessary precautions. So taking precautions is number one. So those who are traveling on minibuses, for example, it's better that they help themselves by covering their nose. And also, those who are coughing, don't cough like the way we do the Zambian way of coughing, the village way. That's why I'm calling ourselves a village. No. They're saying, at least cover yourself and cough. And even my neighbor here who likes to sit very near me, he must not breathe in me. If you go to a salon, somebody is doing your face. Somebody is doing your face. Sometimes, those working in saloons must protect themselves by covering their mouth, because a client may not know that they have COVID. So These small little things, just washing your hands also will help. Because we don't want to say restrictions now, stop praying, stop going for discourse, stop this. Because again, they'll say this is where we are making our money. So we are appealing to the public, please take precautions on your own. Make sure, Madam Speaker, do you know that there are even some big shops, I will not mention them this time, but next time I'll call them out. They used to put sanitizers for people to clean their hands. They've stopped, and yet they're making money. Again, I want to call upon the councils to start visiting shops to just ensure that they put water and the soap. Toilets, tissues, some hotels, no tissue in a toilet, no soap in a toilet. You are in a restaurant, Madam Speaker. Surely these basic things in this age and time, how can you run a restaurant? There's no tissue, there's no soap. Basic hygiene. And Honorable Kampionga is saying, no, we are civilized. Civilized nations today have toilets, have water running, they have tissues in every toilet. This is why the president has made that call to say there shall be no public facility in Zambia that should not have soap, toilet, running water. Because these are basics, like Honorable Kampionga himself has recognized. So, colleagues, let us move a step high. We cannot be calling ourselves we are in the champion of League of Champions, and yet you go in a facility, no toilet, no water, no tissue. Madam Speaker, please, I beg you, through your office, this issue is important for our members to begin to speak to their communities. Issues of just drinking clean water, boil the water, put chlorine, even if you are a marketeer. That's why the chlorine has remained very cheap. If you can't afford, boil the water, give your children. Simple things. And lastly, but most important, for those who are not yet vaccinated, let's get vaccinated. You are not paying. It will help you. Look, all of us, 2 years down the lane, we are still okay. Have you ever heard, Madam Speaker, that the Minister of Health is sick? Never. Why? Because now I'm learning to take personal responsibility. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. I could see Honorable Member for Shiwangandu restraining himself. He wanted to respond, but I think it was on a good note that the Honorable Member was being referred to. Because of the interest, there are so many indications, so I've decided to add 5 more minutes. But please, honorable members, let's not repeat questions. Let's be precise to the point. Then we'll be able to cover more questions. The honorable member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you so much, Minister, for your statement. Madam Speaker, I just need a clarification. I didn't hear you, Minister, when you are giving a cumulative statistics or numbers. I didn't hear the Minister talk about Central Province. What are the cumulative figures for Central Province, in particular, Kabwe? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. While the Minister prepares to answer that question, there's an indication for a point of order. What's the point of order, honorable member for Petauke Central?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah, some of you may say, yeah, but we have got our own constituencies to represent. This is a very, Madam Speaker, the point of order is to the Minister of Health. I asked the question, and this topic, Madam Speaker, it's a very, very important topic on the floor, because some of us, we lost our dear ones, like my father. I lost my father through COVID. So we want to know, my question wasn't answered. We want to know the standing of the government towards this disease, a deadly disease. We want to know the standing. Not every person should take precaution. There should be a directive from government to say we should be doing this and this and this. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Well, from what the Honorable Minister was saying, from what I understood, she was giving a general direction on what measures should be taken, and that the government was not going to prescribe any conditionalities or stopping people from doing certain things. So the guidance, general guidance has been given. Honorable member, just ensure that you advise your constituents to ensure that the golden rules of COVID are complied with. I think that will be the best. But we'll keep, I'm sure the minister will keep us posted on further developments if there will be any. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in fact, you have answered it so well for me. What you've said is what it is. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Petauke would do well to advise his members of his constituency to follow the golden rules, but it's not, we're not like before holding them by the neck. We are saying follow these rules on your own, meaning if you want to wear a mask to protect yourself, wear it. And as our advice is that masks help, actually. I'm sure you know, Honorable. Washing hands helps because, Madam Speaker, we have been taught that over 60% of, in fact, over 65% causes of illnesses are as a result of dirty hands. So you can imagine that if you are clean in terms of your hands, making sure that you are not buying foods from the streets which are not washed, you're not buying a mango and just straight from the basket, you start eating it, buy a mango, wash it, and eat. Basic hygiene practices help. Even the children who are coughing and having diarrhea, especially diarrheal diseases, it's as a result of mothers themselves not washing their hands and before they feed their babies. So help your community by using the same rules and let them make it a way of life, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
The question that you were supposed to answer, Honorable Minister, was the one posed by the Honorable Member for Wacha. We were only interrupted by the point of order.
Oh, sorry, Madam Speaker.
The cumulative numbers for
Yes,
Kabwe.
it is true that Central Province was not indicated because I said that there were 6 provinces, I think, which have been affected, meaning the other provinces that have not been mentioned may not have any case in their hospitals currently. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, with 794 cases active, and we keep seeing cases being reported every day, what is your ministry doing to ensure that the general public out there gets the information? Are you intending to start running adverts or sensitization programs both on the media and the television sites? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable, for your good question. Yes, Madam Speaker, with this official ministerial statement of the status, you see a number of engagement, and also there's supposed to be a meeting that is supposed to be called by Her Honor the Vice President, who is the chairperson of the task force on cholera and other pandemics, wherein there are other sectors, education, and there, I think about 12 ministries that sit on that committee to look at possibilities of what next must be done. And it is that committee that makes the decision whether, for example, to make regulations mandatory or not. But for now, as a ministry, all we are doing now is sensitizing. And with this announcement today, all districts will be put on alert and provinces so that we increase the number of testing and also begin to ignite the committees in the provinces and in the districts that normally ignite, because the Zambian preparedness in as far as issues of pandemics, whether cholera, whether COVID, are always on standby. And Madam Speaker, I'll tell you that Zambia is among one of the best countries when it comes to issues of preparedness. So whenever there is a pandemic or an announcement that something has, a disease has broken down, the systems are such that once you just give a command, all systems will be on. So Zambians should be confident that the medical staff of Ministry of Health in this country, when it comes to such issues, actually I'll tell you that we are one of the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of that segment. We make progress. I have also permitted the Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Before I issue my statement, I wish to convey a message from Her Honor, the Acting Vice President, WK Mutale Narumango. She called me, passing greetings to the members of Parliament, that she's in good health and she's in serious covenant with the President. She has no intention to resign, and she would never resign. She would die with the party. Madam Speaker, I wish to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing me to take this ministerial statement on the digitalization and activation of 60 electronic services of the new Zambia Integrated Land Administration System, ZILAS, in the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Madam Speaker, the government's agenda on digitalization aims to ensure that the services provided by various government institutions are integrated. Government, through the Electronic Government Division, Smart Zambia Institute, continues to allocate resources towards progressive interventions that are evidently enhancing efficiency, effectiveness, productivity, accountability, and transparency, thus bringing government services closer to the people. In line with the digitalization agenda of government, Cabinet in 2020 approved the development and deployment of Zambia Integrated Land Administration System, ZILAS. The system is aimed at enhancing the digitalization of land administration. This was to address the various gaps and challenges of the commissioned Zambia Integrated Land Management Information System called ZILMIS. Madam Speaker, allow me to inform this August House that the ZILAS has been deployed and the Ministry migrated data from ZILMIS to the new system on Saturday, 13th May 2023. To that effect, 60 services have been made available on the Government Service Bus, GSB. The new ZILAS went live on the 17th May 2023. This meant that the public could start accessing the 60 services that have been placed online. It further entails that all clients need to open a ZAMPass account on the ZAM portal website to access the services. Madam Speaker, by introducing digital technology, the Ministry is focused on streamlining its operations. These e-services will allow stakeholders to access services online, thereby reducing physical contact with the Ministry staff and eliminating opportunities for corruption. This will contribute to a reduction in the cost of doing business. Madam Speaker, we appreciate that we used ZILMIS for 9 years, from 2014 to 2023. The maintenance contract with the company that developed ZILMIS ended on the 31st March 2022. We had been using the system without contract, and we were at risk in the event of the system challenges. The Ministry had been using ZILMIS for 9 years without enhancements and inclusion of online payment platforms, thereby creating a conduit for corruption. Zealous is better than Zilmis, as it has one, mandatory fields to fill in, for example, gender, phone numbers, date of birth, national registration card number, and email address where clients receive automated notifications. The payment platforms are plugged into Zealous, for example, mobile phone, online internet banking, Visa card, Zanaco Bill Master. 3, a performance tracking mechanism that shows how long a member of staff takes to work on a case, and if there are delays beyond the ministry service charter, it will change to red for the supervisor to take action. 4, role-based security features allowing for segregation of duties. 5, audit trail showing the log of events for the users of the system and the services used. 6, it is integrated with the government service bus with the Ministry of Home Affairs to verify NRCs, paragraph for the company profile to be retrieved once the identity number is captured. 7, after 90 days, issued invitation to treat, ITT, will be expired from the system. 8, access to the system through the e-filing service on the ZAM portal is possible from anywhere and at any time. 9, the scanning of each document that is used by the system is digitized while still keeping the physical file. 10, availability of an electronic cash book showing collections disaggregated by province. By adopting digital...
Order. Honorable Member for Chieng, please take your seat quickly. The rules do not allow you to give me your back, so please take your seat. May the Honorable Minister continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was saying, by adopting digital technologies, the Ministry will enhance its data management capabilities, thereby improving the accuracy and completeness of information on land administration. Further, the Zealous is expected to help reduce errors and discrepancies in land ownership and ensure that all stakeholders have access to most up-to-date information regarding services under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Madam Speaker, the cut-over to electronic processes involves the adoption of digital tools and systems to manage land and natural resources more effectively. This will include the use of geographical information systems, GIS, to map land and resource locations, digital tools to manage land ownership and transactions, and online portal to facilitate communication and interaction between the ministry and stakeholders. Government is optimistic to ensure that the migration and cleaner process of data and land administration is given the much needed support by the key stakeholders affected by the land issues, and these are the citizens of Zambia. Madam Speaker, there is an assertion by the members of the general public that Zealous has crashed. To the contrary, the system is currently operational and the ministry is using it for provision of services. Madam Speaker, the ministry may be facing teething challenges in the implementation of the new system. However, we are working around the clock to ensure that we continue to provide the services to the general public. As a ministry, we are managing this transition phase by phase, and all challenges first are being addressed as a matter of urgency. Amongst the efforts being made in the reorientation of members of staff, deployment of a team offsite to work on the backlog, and the presence of .gov, the developer of the system in the country. Madam Speaker, to ensure data integrity in the new system, the Ministry expects all property owners or their representatives to undertake property information update and cleaning. The data cleaning exercise takes approximately 10 minutes. Thereafter, the records can be processed by the back office staff. Members of the public can also use the filing in service on the ZAM portal to submit their certificates of title and the national registration cards for data cleaning. Madam Speaker, the Ministry has noted with concern that members of the public are apprehensive with the Ministry's requirements to clean their data before they can access some of the services. It should be noted that data from the old ZUMIS system is incomplete in some cases, as some fields were not mandatory, such as gender, date of birth, national registration card numbers, phone numbers are missing. Others have landlines that were captured a long time ago and are not functional, and email addresses were not captured that time. Madam Speaker, the members of the public stand to benefit more by using the new system. They will be able to access services anywhere at any time, receive feedback for all actions taken by the Ministry through emails and text messages, make online, that is mobile money, internet banking and visa, payments for ground rent, consideration fees and other services, and receive documents in electronic form such as invitation to treat, offer letters, and many more. Madam Speaker, the system is a game changer as it will improve service delivery. I wish to urge all stakeholders to support this progressive system. Finally, I would like to appeal to our clients who submitted documents before the cut-off date of 17th June 2023 to open up ZAMPA's accounts on the ZAM portal and visit the Ministry for assistance so that their documents can continue to be processed. Before I sit down, Madam Speaker, I have a list of those 60 services offered, and we have indicated the ones which are working and those which are work in progress until we finalize and see that everything is working to the perfection. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much for that statement. I noticed that the Honorable Member for Feira, who raised the matter of urgent public importance, is not in the House. But I'm sure there are other members who appreciate and understand this issue. And therefore, the members are now free to ask points of clarification on the ministerial statement that has just been rendered by the Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, I do appreciate that the ZILA system is actually the best. But in your statement, you should have also indicated to us the loss of revenue, or how much revenue government has lost in terms of property transfer tax in the last 1 month. However, there's been calls from members of the public outside there asking if your ministry can consider running the ZILAs and the ZUMIs in tandem so that the time that you are going to perfect the system, government is not going to continue losing money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Thank you, Madam, and I thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament for Kabwata, First and foremost, the government has not lost any revenue, except that we have just delayed a bit. The system is working. It's providing some services at the moment, except certain services are not pure. We are protecting the clients. For instance, if you want to press a caveat or a mortgage on a property, it was demanding that you clear ground rents on behalf of the owner. We had to change the system so that you receive a waiver. There are certain issues which protect the client, and we want to do it slowly so that you are not inconvenienced. The developer does not stay in Zambia. We want to hold on to them. They clean it to our expectation, because when they are away, it will be a bit difficult. On the other issue of running a parallel system, that will not work. The other one, the contract ended last year, and we are even glad that we even used it up to date to the time when we locked it off. It was becoming also another conduit for corruption, because people were using the old system and others are using the new system. The figures were not reconciling. There has to be a start and an end. Let's move with this new one and go on to perfect it to the advantage of our people. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, you are very much aware that there is a lot of illegal land acquisition, especially in urban areas, and also in some other areas, even the government has lost land due to encroachment. Using the new system, how do you wish to address this scenario? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Thank you very much. If at all you listened carefully, I indicated certain services that are being offered. And that's why you have seen even some bit of delays, because the survey department, the numbering and all that it takes to avoid double allocation. Because the new system became so porous that you could go in and come out. People were using it to their own advantage. They were benefiting out of it. But this current system, you can't. It's protecting actually the client. It will not happen again. Actually, we are doing even land audit using the same system. It is quite efficient. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And indeed, we appreciate the Honorable Minister's statement, because there have been concerns from the general citizenry. Mine is on the security of the system and the transition period. Honorable Minister, the concern of members of the public is the unscrupulous individuals who have been taking advantage of the system, especially between the Minister of Local Government and your ministry, because the local government performs a delegated function on your behalf. We have had cases where unscrupulous individuals have manipulated the system in between two institutions, and people have lost property. And in other circumstances, people are now fearing that with this transition, the details of their properties could be tampered with by these unscrupulous individuals. What assurance are you giving to the public and to property owners that indeed the details that they have from the old system will be migrated to the new system without being manipulated, and in some instances ending in people losing their property? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Thank you for that question, and it gives me an opportunity to explain. Honorable Kampyongo, we were one of the victims, and many other Zambians. The system became so porous. They had no respect whatsoever for other landowners. People were just walking in and walk out. I just need that piece of land, they'll go in and they'll give them with a title deed. This time, in this system, editing is restricted. and also to be giving you feedback the moment you log in and how long even the officer is working. It is tracking. The other old system, they manipulated to an extent that you can log in, it will not trace you. They could shave away your title deed, bring in another title deed. From there, they get their money, and then they leave you fighting. But this time, it will not work. And we want to work closely with my brother-in-law, Gary Nkombo, local government. We need to come up with one title deed. There is no way that council also is giving their numbering, and also we are doing that. We need to come together and have only one title deed. The process, we are beginning to do it so that we can protect such interests of our people. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Chilubi an opportunity to ask the Minister a question. The people of Chilubi read I think some 2 weeks ago, about the cancellation, the possible cancellation of 50,000 plots by the Minister of Lands. Could this statement be the Black John the Baptist that is meant to announce that news? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I hope the Minister, the Honorable Minister, has gotten the question, because the Honorable Member is asking in riddles about John the Baptist. I don't know how John Baptist found himself at the Ministry of Lands. Honorable Member, can you be a bit clear?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. What I'm trying to say is that I read some 2 weeks ago about the cancellation of 50,000 plots, which the Minister can confirm or not. Then today the statement has come. What I'm trying to say is that could this statement be linked to the preparation of the cancellation of those 50,000 plots?
Thank you very much. Very clear. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Member of Parliament, first and foremost, not even a minister has powers to cancel a title deed. There is a court process that has to be by court order. And another way is by compulsory acquisition by the president. 2 only. That's why people have been taking advantage. Even if it's illegal, you have to go to court. There has not been any title deed cancelled. Maybe you just got a misquotation. We said out of 1 million which were being processed, 500 were in abeyance because some fields were missing. 2,500 were lodged in the old system. And those were in dilemma. Should we continue with the old system or the new system? But we realized that it will cause an audit query. So what we have done is, because of the system, some of them we are processing them manually. That's why we have housed our officers somewhere to clear them. As we stand here now, they are in Charleston there. Some were excluded so that they are able to clear whatever is going on to your benefit. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lukasha.
I thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, of course, there are people having difficulties to interact with this new portal because it's still in a transition period. I just want to find out if you are still allowing members of the public to come physically to the Ministry of Lands, especially those who would like to pay like ground rent, because if they don't pay in time, there will be penalties. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, let me also take advantage. We should not pay using the old system. If you check your phones, there is a platform there where you can pay. If you're having difficulties, come to our ministry. And also, we want to come up with a system to go to the districts, partnering with the Zambia. We have to open up some centers to help. At the moment, we have even opened last line and also the lawyers. They are there. and the system is quite fast. We are aware. Though we have got a bit of challenges in certain areas, but we are correcting them. At the moment, you can come and they can attend to you. If you find difficulties, please walk into my office. I will attend to you, just like other members of parliament have been doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think the main interest for the honorable member was whether there will be penalties for late payment of ground rent, because it's not on account of the clients that they are delayed in paying.
I sincerely apologize. Yes, there will be no penalties at this period. It's not your fault. It's the system during the transition. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The honorable member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask a question, follow-up question to the Minister of Lands. Minister, you have explained that there are about 60 packages that are going to be integrated in the ZUMIS system, and then some of the systems are working, whilst others are under development. Now, my question is, that package which is under development, what type of services are so critical that will be offered and sorted out through the development of those other remaining services? Because the challenges, you have some challenges to develop them fully, develop them to make the system into a fully integrated system. So what type of services that are different that are going to be offered in the newly developed system to make the 60 to be fully operational? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the honorable member. I said I've come up with a list which will be laid on the table here. We have looked, because the way the system works there, it is in tandem. It does not work in isolation. It begins with lands and deeds, and then survey department. All the three, they work together. So we have started with those which are at the beginning, and at the tail is the title deed itself. And some title deeds, we have sent them already to some clients to see some mistakes which are happening. If they don't give us the feedback, then we are okay, we are ready to go. But we are still perfecting. There are several here. I don't know if I'll be allowed to read, but I would prefer they are put in the pigeonhole so that each member will be able to see which function is working or not, especially my colleagues, the lawyers. They will be more interested in having this list. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, through you, Honorable Member of Parliament, Honorable Minister for Lands, we have some people in the rural areas where internet is really, really a challenge, and also some people in the rural areas who are not privy to this information like these people in the urban. What steps are you taking to reach out to people who are in Chiengi and other places like Ikeling to know how they can access information regarding their title deeds? Because are those who have been posted in these rural areas. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Madam Speaker, thank you. And let me thank Madam Chiengi MP. First and foremost, I said we are going to reach out through establishment of kiosks in districts. And also, we have embarked on training. We have also dealt with the road laws, with the Bankers Association. We want to reach out to train also people on how to go about it. We want people to get a service where they are. Chiengi, as a district, they will be there. There will be a kiosk. We have to put a kiosk there in collaboration with Zamtel. People will be helped to be connected. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. We have 3 more questions from the Honorable Member for Luena, Kalabo Central, and the last one will be from Chembe. The Honorable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to pose a follow-up question to the Minister of Lands. Honorable Minister, our land management system appears to have been problematic for quite a while. We've been moving from one system to the other, but without really getting to deal with the issues once and for all. May I therefore find out from you whether in this new system that we have launched, you are going to include as part of the performance management just a specific timeline so that once an application is lodged, the individual must know that after 14 days, 21 days, or 30 days, I will go and collect my title deed for as long as the lodgement was successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate this question from Honorable Member of Parliament for Rena. I mentioned that there is a tracking system. It will be showing on your, just like when you go to the bank, you withdraw or they deposit some money. It's showing. The same thing will be happening. We have a service charter which will be followed strictly. Yes, you will know. It's quite efficient. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to find out how much it has costed the ministry to undertake this system. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. I don't know if you have the information.
I know this system actually was contracted by our colleagues before they exited from the offices. The cost was almost 19 million US dollars. So far they paid closer to $10 million. The whole bill has not yet been finalized. But it's a good system. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last question, Honorable Member for Chembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, many are times that government forget themselves. We are talking of titling here. I don't know whether the government has got plans to do the titling of certain government institutions, especially most of the rural schools, they are not titled. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Lands and Natural Resources.
Madam Speaker, it gives me an opportunity actually to remind our colleagues, members of Parliament, that we have to collaborate, work together. The Minister of Home Affairs, Education, everywhere. We need submissions. We need data. I made a pronouncement the other week that we need to put all government properties on title. Minister of Education, there is even an SI. We just need to enforce it. Yes, true. Munali here, several other schools, the land has been encroached. I think we have to call out an audit everywhere, but we have to work together with the various departments so that we can put all government pieces of land on title. It's causing a lot of discomfort. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm sure this can be extended to these schools and hospitals that are being built under CDF also. If they can, honorable members can assist the Honorable Minister by submitting details where they can. Question for oral answer, understanding order 74. The Honorable Member for Mongu Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 291. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Health. Oh, so the Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Mongu Central asked the Minister of Health the following questions. When the construction of the following facilities at Mongu District Hospital will be completed? A, wards, B, operating theater, and C, mortuary. Also, when the ambulance will be procured for the hospital, when additional doctors will be deployed to the hospital, and lastly, but not the least, when security fence will be erected. In response to the questions that were raised, Madam Speaker, the date of completion of the construction of wards and the operating theater at Mongu District Hospital will be determined once the new contractor is sourced. The House may wish to note that the current contractor who abandoned the works has refused to continue on the negotiated price adjustment on the remaining works, prompting the government to retender the works to get a new contractor to complete the works. The mortuary unit has already been constructed except for equipment which has been factored in the 2023 Infrastructure Operation Plan. B, Madam Speaker, government has plans to procure ambulances to cater for all health facilities across the country, including Mongu District Hospital. And the procurement of ambulances is being implemented in a phased approach, and the process commenced in 2022. In the first phase, 100 ambulances will be procured. C, Madam Speaker, the government will deploy additional doctors after completion of the constructions of the hospital, since this will expand the services to be offered. The House may wish to note that currently Mongu District Hospital has 2 medical doctors and 3 medical associates. This workforce, though not enough, is able to handle most of the services that are currently being offered at the hospital. D, the security fence has been planned for in the 2025 budget. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions, the Honorable Member for Mongu Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much to the acting leader of business in the House for that answer. The question that's grappling the people of Mongu Central is that these district hospitals seem to be standard buildings everywhere. In Eastern Province, there's a state-of-the-art building of a district hospital, and in other provinces as well. But in Mongu, a substandard structure, substandard building was constructed there. So the question is, what happened to the money, to the original money that was allocated? Was this money stolen, or what happened? People in Mongu want to find out how they ended up with such a substandard structure. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, I will not comment on the substandard buildings that are in Mongu, but I will request my colleague to liaise with the Minister of Health to ensure that this particular issue is addressed if the buildings are of substandard. As government, we would like anyone who has given a contract to ensure that they adhere to the specifications of the contract that are given.
Thank you. The next question, as the time is 10:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
20 minutes health break. Just before the break, we had the Acting Minister of Health, Honorable Jack Mwimbu, answering a follow-up question to the question posed by Mongu Central Member of Parliament, Honorable Amutike, Mr. Amutike, on the construction of health facilities in the Mongu District Hospital. And we expect the question to continue after the break.
Yes, polling when business resumed at 09 hours. There was an announcement by Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Malonge, Presentation, Mahila, Chilombo, Kaoma, Luena Barracks, and Mulamatila secondary schools from Kaoma district, who were accompanied by members of staff from White Zambia, a non-governmental organization based in Kaoma district of Western Province that offers educational scholarships to vulnerable learners in the named secondary schools up to tertiary level of education. And so on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, Madam Speaker warmly welcome the visitors to the National Assembly.
And of course, Matimba, we don't forget that there was an announcement on the business of the House expected next week. That is the week beginning 20 to 23rd June 2023. And there were also two ministerial statements that were rendered. One of them was rendered by the Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia Masebo, and this was on the rising incidences of COVID-19 in Zambia. And we also had another ministerial statement from the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, and this was on the deployment of Zambia Integrated Land Administration System. So details of the ministerial statements will be coming soon. For now, we take a break.
Honorable Dr. Ron Mwanza is an area member of parliament for Kaumbwe constituency. Was born and bred in Kaumbwe constituency at village Mwanjavantu, and did his primary school at Mwanjavantu Primary School, went to secondary school at Chasa Boys, and then went to the University of Zambia. He did civil engineering. I did so well at UNZA, and I was retained as a lecturer in civil engineering. And then I went for master degree in China. I did in the in the same field of civil engineering. So after completing my master degree in China, I came back, taught at the University of Zambia again, and then I went for my PhD again to China in the same field of civil engineering. My expertise are in roads and railway engineering. And then I completed my PhD in 2012. After completing my PhD in 2012, I was employed by China Railways in China, and I've had a lot of international exposure in highway and road development projects that have been like government to government, China and African governments, and also European, some South American countries, also to say developing nations. I have 26 years of experience in this field. And on the local front, I participated in the designs for the greatest road from Luangwa Bridge up to Mwami border, Mongu Senanga Road. Talk about Road T2 from Kapiri to Serenje. Also, so many road projects in the country, as well as railway projects. Railway projects on the railway front. On the railway front, whilst working in China with China Railways, I spearheaded the project to have a line connected from Eastern Province to connect to Tazara. We did feasibility study, and government had a bankable document which is still there. Apparently, just due to fiscal space, the project hasn't taken place. But I'm sure we should be able to do the project soon. I'm married, and my children, I've got 2 children. They are in China. Kaumbwe constituency, you know, has a population of 60,000 people. Kaumbwe constituency is bordering Mozambique, and in terms of other constituencies, it is bordering Kapoche constituency and Petauke Central. Kaumbwe constituency is the least developed constituency in Zambia. Zambia has 156 constituencies. Now we are the least developed constituency in the country. This is on record. It is written in the what they call economic outlook index, for using the multidimensional index, meaning to check the poverty levels. You know, they look at how many people are employed in the Kambwe constituency, are there industries, and so on. So we fall at, imagine we're falling at 94% poverty levels. Well, but the people are happy. We are happy people. It is a place, it is a sweet place. We like to enjoy our traditional ceremonies and so on and so forth. So you find that Kaumbwe is a place also that is very hospitable. There's hospitality. Kaumbwe constituency has no industry. There's no source of any job. The only source of income is farming. Our land has become infertile. We have to depend on agriculture subsidies like FISIP programs. And these FISIP programs, they are not even enough. Also, the distribution is very erratic. Right now, I'm so much worried about the hunger. The situation has become like this simply because the last season, the farming production was very low due to, okay, of course, due to climatic factors, as well as the late delivery of inputs. Now, it seems that problem is going to repeat itself this season, because up to now, not even a single bag of fertilizer has been delivered to the constituency. Well, these are just some of the current issues. But to describe better about the constituency, the challenges as they are outlined in the in the national survey that was conducted, you find that education, we have no government boarding secondary school, the whole constituency, not even one. We do not have a referral hospital. A referral hospital is only in Petauke, which the furthest part from Chizanda is about 60 kilometers. Now imagine you are sick in Chizanda. The referral hospital is so many kilometers away. The few clinics that are in the constituency does not provide the desirable health care that we want. Look at the roads. The roads, thank God that the previous government embarked on the OPRC project. Right now we cannot complain on the roads part. But the major issues that we are looking at is water supply also. We need to improve the water supply by sinking boreholes across the constituency. The development agenda, first of all, I'm looking at improving the livelihood of the people by, first of all, providing education, which is education is an equalizer. We need to provide education, and so we're going to provide education by upgrading at least 4 day secondary schools to full-time government boarding secondary schools, namely Manjawantu Primary School, Manjawantu Day Secondary School, Lusinde Day Secondary School, Ngombeni Matole Secondary School, and Zumaire. These, they are in plan that we upgrade them to full-time, fully fledged government boarding secondary school. Why this step? It's because they will realize the benefits from government in terms of government bursaries. Right now, government has given us 40% of the CDF to be used on government bursaries to support students. And yet, in my constituency, I can only afford 70 students. So from that money, from more than 1.2 million kwacha, only 200,000 kwacha is going to be used for bursaries. That is education. That is the first division. Then the second one, we are going to, of course, these things will be happening simultaneously. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to a Kaumbe constituency that should have an industry, some small industries such that the people can find jobs there. Look now, we are going to be giving loans through the CDF. These loans, people are supposed to open businesses. Now, to open businesses, there's need to have a very good environment, such as electricity, to provide power, electricity and water. So people can open welding shops, and they are able to rear some chickens, and there should be electricity, even to keep pigs and so on. And we form a small national meeting, like national meeting in Lusaka here. It should have everything there. You take your maize, so there'll be some silos where, so there'll be all the functions of a small FRA and also national meeting. Where you, so these 5 plants, put them together to increase the production capacity, and then you have storage sheds for raw maize, also storage sheds for to dispatch the maize to distribute to production consumption centers like secondary schools, police, and so on and so forth, also to choppies and the rest, So in that way, there'll be a lot of people that can get jobs in those areas. And also, I'm looking at least have one skills training college, because it is very expensive to send somebody from Kaumbe to come and study at Lusaka trades in these days of hardships due to the hardships of the economy. So we are trying to look at upgrading one of the secondary schools, which is we are earmarking Zumaire, which is at the center. We try to now through the CDF we'll make it to be a fully fledged government secondary school. Then later we will now put a skills training college. This skills training college is going to be unique in the sense that the people that are supposed to be to receive training in that place are not supposed to have the criteria is not supposed to be like to look at somebody who got 6 points or 17 points or whatever. As long as you can speak Chinsenga or you can write a little bit, we will have skills like catering. Catering, I don't need somebody who has a certificate in grade 9. So we'll be offering courses that are practical department and also academic. Practical, for those to be enrolled in the practical section, they just need we just need to tap their talent. They will not have written exams. All they will be doing is just to go for practicals. Like people to learn mechanics, there's no need to teach them about the combustion system of the car, but there will be a model of a vehicle, a model of an engine, and the teacher will dismantle that engine and teach them, assemble. After assembling, then they will. So this is the vision. I want to appeal to the people of Kaumbe constituency to be a little bit patient, because government is still finding modalities on how best to utilize these monies. The good news is that the money is not going to be recorded at the end of a fiscal year. So it means that we are able to plan and construct and implement all the projects at our own time. Now I'm just urging for a little bit of patience. The good news is that the projects for last year the projects that, in the previous government, the 1.6 million kwacha projects, they are going to start, they will start implementing them next week. All the contractors, they have been given award letters, and next week the school at Kalasau, the contractor will move there. The school at Lusinde, the contractor will move there, at Nyawalira, and so on and so forth. What I urge also the people of Kaombe constituency, let us be vigilant. All these contractors, please, they need to employ people that are within the locality where the project is taking place.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for still being with us. I beg your pardon. Good morning. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament television. At the time business was interrupted at 10:40 hours, on the floor of the House was the Acting Minister of Health on a question that has been posed by Mongo Central, Mr. Amtike, who wanted to find out when the construction of the following facilities at the Mongo District Hospital will be completed: wards, operating theatre, mortuary, and in B, when ambulances will be procured for the hospital, and in C, when additional doctors will be deployed to the hospital, and in D, when a security fence will be constructed.
Yes, Matimba, so that is the question that is still under consideration on the floor of the House. And earlier on, when business started at 09 hours, the Honorable Madam Speaker announced to the House that she recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Longe Presentation, Mahila, Chilombo, Kaoma, Luena Barracks, and Mula Matila secondary schools from Kaoma district. She announced that the pupils were accompanied by members of staff from WISE Zambia, a non-governmental organization based in Kaoma district Kaoma district of Western Province that offers educational scholarships to vulnerable learners in named secondary schools up to tertiary level of education. And on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, she welcomed the visitors to the House.
Yes, Pauline, there was also an indication of a business statement for the period 28th June to 23rd June 2023 by the acting leader of government business. Thereafter, Madam Speaker permitted the Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia T. Maseo, to render a ministerial statement on the rising incidence of COVID-19 cases in Zambia.
Matimba, there was another ministerial statement that was rendered by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Elijah Muchima, and this was a statement on the deployment of Zambia Integrated Land Administration System, ZILAS.
Still to come on the order paper, we have one question for oral answer, understanding order 74. This question will come from Luponsoshi, Member of Parliament, Mr. Emmanuel Musonda, who is posing his question to the Minister of Energy. He wants to find out whether the government has any plans to connect Katuta Secondary School in Luponsoshi Parliamentary constituency to the national grid, and in B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and in C, what the estimated cost of the project is.
And we also have one motion that is expected to be discussed on the floor of the House. For now, we go back to the floor.
Not yet.
Members of Parliament must be present in the House for any business to take place, and under consideration is a question that has been posed by Mongo Central Member of Parliament to the Minister of Health. He wanted to find out when the construction of the following facilities at the Mongo District Hospital will be completed: the wards, operating theatre, and mortuary, and in B, when ambulances will be procured for the hospital, and in C, when additional doctors will be deployed to the hospital, and in D, when a security fence will be constructed.
Yes, and Matimba, we still have another question coming from Lupososhi, Member of Parliament, and that will be a question directed to the Minister of Energy. And we also have one motion to be moved by Kalomo Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Harry Kambone, and this motion is urging the House that they do adopt the report of the Right Honourable Madam Speaker's delegation to the 146th IPU Assembly and related meetings held in Manama, Kingdom of Bahrain from 11th to 15th March 2023 for the second session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on 6th June 2023. So that is some of the business expected on the floor of the House.
Yes, Pauline, earlier on we had two ministerial statements. The first ministerial statement was rendered by the Minister of Health. This was on the rising incidence of COVID-19 cases in Zambia. And the second ministerial statement was rendered by Honorable Elijah Mchima, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, on the deployment of the Zambia Integrated Land Administration System, ZILAS. And so just now we take you to the floor of the House. Good morning.
Order. When business was suspended, the House was considering question number 291 on the order paper, asked by the Honorable Member for Mongu Central, and the Honorable Acting Minister of Health had just finished answering a follow-up question by the Honorable Member for Mongu Central. The next question will be asked by the Honorable Member for Bahati on behalf of the Honorable Member for Lupososhi.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Question number 292.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Emmanuel Msonda, MP Lupososhi Parliamentary Constituency, is asking the Minister of Energy three questions. A, whether the government has any plans to connect Katuta Secondary School in Lupososhi Parliamentary Constituency to the national grid. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and C, what the estimated cost of the project is. Madam Speaker, the answer to A is no. However, the government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Rural Education Authority, RIA, has plans to connect Katuta Secondary School in Lupososhi Parliamentary Constituency using solar mini-grid technology. The total capacity for the mini-grid is 100 kilowatts. Answer to question B. According to the Rural Education Master Plan, Katuta Secondary School falls within a rural growth center earmarked for electrification in the year 2025. The total cost of the project using the mini-grid will be 15 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, allow me to give some additional information just for clarity. In the execution of the Rural Electrification Program, the Rural Electrification Authority follows the timelines recommended in the Rural Electrification Master Plan, funds permitting. However, in the event that the area MP chooses to prioritize electrification of areas outside the timeline set out in the Master Plan, this could be expedited if resources were dedicated from sources such as CDF. The Rural Electrification Authority welcomes the opportunity to work with the MPs in this regard. I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Bahati.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for that statement. Minister, you mentioned in your statement that RIA has intentions of setting up a mini solar farm at Katuta. So I want to find out from you, this mini solar farm or solar plant, will it just be for the school or it will feed surrounding villages as well? And when is RIA going to move at the site? Thank you.
So it's supposed to be one question, Honorable Member. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This mini grid will solely be for the school and not for the surrounding areas. Yes, a few houses or so will be connected, but the main purpose of installing this facility is to service the school. It could also maybe service the teachers' houses and other auxiliary infrastructure. And I had indicated that the electrification of this school will be done in 2025. We could not connect it to the main grid because of the cost. The main grid is about 63 kilometers away, and it was going to cost about 50 million kwacha, I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have suggested mini solar grid, which you are saying could be cheaper than connecting to the national grid. And the cost of the solar grid you are saying is about 15 million. And certainly to get 15 million from any allocation of CDF to one school might be a challenge for the Honorable MP to consider getting funds from from one allocation, or even four. It would take maybe, I don't know how many years it would take for the Honorable MP to allocate money to that. And you are saying 2025. Is there anything you can sit down with the Honorable Minister or with the Honorable Member of Parliament for this area and meet halfway if your suggestion of using CDF has to be meaningful? Is it possible that you can meet him halfway towards this cost through RIA in order to actualize this project? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Kampiongo, for that. Yes, we are ready to sit with the MP so that we can find, something for them to start with. I submit.
The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Though it has been overtaken by events, but I'm still concerned, Madam Speaker, because looking at the amount and also looking at the agents and the need of this school to be connected, because now we have what we call ICT courses in schools, and our children there at Katuta Primary School are being deprived of that opportunity because the school is not connected to the national grid. The question that I wanted to ask the Minister, when he mentioned CDF, I wanted to find out, is he referring to solar or the same with ZESCO? Because with ZESCO, the other members already alluded to that it's very expensive. Are they going to use? I want to know, because he is a specialist in that. What was he referring to by saying the Member of Parliament can use CDF? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I had indicated that RIA plans to use a solar mini grid and not ZESCO. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Bahati.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, Katuta Boarding Secondary School is an examination center. It has grade 9s and 12s. What immediate measures are you considering? Are you able to purchase a generator for this school in the meantime? So that, because 2025 is quite far.
so that maybe the member of parliament for the area can use CDF to procure diesel and other maintenance costs. So are you able to buy a small generator, which may just cost your ministry something like 400,000 kwacha? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, those are some of the interventions that can be gotten from CDF. I'm sure 400,000 kwacha is within the CDF allocation I submit.
Thank you. Notice of motion, the Honorable Member for Kalomo Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I beg to move that this House do adopt the report of the Zambian delegation to the 146th IPU Assembly and the related meetings laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 6th June 2023.
Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Seconded by the Honorable Member for Chawama. The question is that this House do adopt the report of the Right Honorable Madam Speaker's delegation to the 146th Interparliamentary Union Assembly and related meetings held in Manama, Kingdom, Bahrain from 11th to 15th March 2023 for the second session of the 13th National Assembly laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 6th June 2023. Any debate? The Honorable Member for Kalomo Central.
Madam Speaker, this report is being presented to the House in accordance with the Standing Order number 146-1. Let me begin by acquainting the House that the Honorable Madam Speaker led a delegation of 146 on the 146th IPU Assembly and related meetings. As I believe that the members of the House have had occasion to peruse the report, allow me to merely highlight some of the salient features contained therein. Madam Speaker, the general debate of the Assembly focused on the theme promoting peaceful coexistence and inclusive societies, fighting intolerance. The theme reflected parliamentarians' awareness of the importance of establishing the values of tolerance and peace, rejecting division, hatred, and consolidating solidarity as basic pillars for enhancing security, stability, prosperity, and sustainable development. The theme attracted insightful discussions, mostly pointing to the fact that there is a lack of tolerance for divergent views among parliamentarians, citizens, and institutions of governance in most societies. Madam Speaker, following the fruitful deliberations among the parliamentarians who convened during the 146th IPU Assembly in Manama, the Assembly adopted the Manama Declaration and draft resolutions as set below. Number 1, Manama Declaration on promoting peaceful coexistence and inclusive societies fighting intolerance. Number 2, draft resolution on parliamentary efforts in achieving negative carbon emissions balances of forests. Number 3, draft resolution on cybercrimes, the new risks to global security. Madam Speaker, most IPU member parliaments are aware of the dangers that hate, intolerance, exclusion, and violence in all its forms pose to democracy and to the social contract that held societies together. This fact was also highlighted by the President of the IPU in his inaugural address to the 146th Assembly and related meetings. Great concern was raised regarding the huge caseload of the IPU's Committee on Human Rights of Parliamentarians, where some members of Parliament faced severe violations of their rights and safety perpetrated by their own governments, colleagues, and constituencies. It was further noted that because of greed and competition, the world was facing social and economic inequalities on an unprecedented scale. Madam Speaker, this House will agree with me that education can be used as a tool to promote coexistence and tolerance in societies. In that regard, parliaments have been argued to lobby respective governments to invest in education for all and at all levels, including peace education and education for democracy, pursuant to the United Nations General Assembly resolutions. Madam Speaker, emanating from the discourse on the sub-theme on cybercrimes, the new risks to global security, it was noted that freedom of expression is a fundamental human right. Further, the 146th IPU Assembly acknowledged that the Internet represented a significant development in freedom of expression. However, an observation was made regarding the growing trend of Internet violations, where even parliamentarians have not been spared from being victims of cybercrime. These violations mostly manifested in the form of misinformation, hate speech. Therefore, a recommendation was made for national parliaments to regulate digital platforms and other media to diminish the risk of hate speech and various forms of disinformation while protecting the fundamental right of free speech. Madam Speaker, the Assembly noted that while some countries had enacted laws to curb the vice, the laws were not fully aligned with international human rights standards. Therefore, there was need for member parliaments to enact or review laws that can effectively respond to cyber crimes. However, member parliaments have called upon to exercise caution when developing such laws to ensure that there were necessary safeguards to protect freedoms of expression. Madam Speaker, given these issues that are being committed on the Internet, it is imperative for Parliament to create platforms through which parliamentarians can deepen their understanding of the complex and rapidly evolving nature of cybercrime. This could be achieved through capacity building programs such as conferences, workshops, seminars, among others. Madam Speaker, another notable event that characterized the 146th IPU Assembly was the launch of a new campaign on climate action entitled Parliaments for the Planet. The campaign is aimed at mobilizing parliaments and parliamentarians to act on climate emergencies. Remarkably, the campaign seeks to encourage parliaments, parliamentarians, and staff to lead by example by reducing their own carbon footprint and other concrete measures to implement the Paris Agreement on climate to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It is gratifying, Madam Speaker, to note that National Assembly of Zambia is making strides towards reducing greenhouse gas emissions through the tree planting exercise, enabled by the resolution that was made during the 144th IPU Assembly in Bali, Indonesia, on promoting greener parliaments. The IPU Zambia National Group launched a tree planting exercise for all members of parliament to plant trees in their respective constituencies. While appreciating this initiative, there is still more that National Assembly can do to attain the aspirations of the Paris Agreement. In light of the above, member parliaments are being argued to allocate sufficient budgetary allocations towards research and development in order to leverage the emerging technologies such as crossbreeding of trees to aid forest rejuvenation and regeneration. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, allow me to thank all members who constituted the delegation to the 146th IPU Assembly and related meetings for their commitment throughout the Assembly. May I also, on behalf of the delegation, place on record our gratitude to the office of the Honorable Madam Speaker for facilitating our travel to the Kingdom of Bahrain. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Chawama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to second the motion to adopt the report of the Zambia delegation that participated in the 146th Interparliamentary Union Assembly and related meetings that was ably presented by Honorable Kamboni, First Vice President of the National Group for Zambia of the IPU. Madam Speaker, let me begin by echoing the mover's sentiments that there's a lack of tolerance among parliamentarians. This was noted by the parliamentarians who convened in the 146th IPU Assembly. It is therefore important, Madam Speaker, that all parliamentarians strive to exercise tolerance in the manner that we conduct business, even in this House, Madam Speaker. With regards to cyber crimes, Madam Speaker, it must be noted that cyber crimes are not gender neutral. They are related to gender. In fact, women and children are the most affected, and other marginalized groups, such as people with disabilities. Madam Speaker, parliamentarians are encouraged to broaden the protection for women, young children, elderly, and the people with disabilities, and racialized groups. Madam Speaker, as already stated by the mover of the motion, the 146th IPU Assembly focused on the theme, promoting peaceful coexistence and inclusive societies, fighting intolerance. However, given the devastating effects of climate change, the Assembly dedicated a session for the parliamentarians to deliberate on climate change. Notably, the Assembly noted the following issues: that the crises, as I mentioned earlier, they're not gender neutral. You will find that the poorest groups in societies and those who are most affected are women and children. So if we come up with mitigation that is not reflecting this group, Madam Speaker, we would be ignoring those people who are most vulnerable and the people who need the most help. Finally, Madam Speaker, it is gratifying to note that the Forum of Young Parliamentarians, to which I belong, committed to the Say Yes to Youth in Parliament campaigns. This campaign emanated with the fact that the population under the age of 30 is half of the population in the world. And 2.6 of these parliamentarians are representing this demographic. In Zambia, Madam Speaker, the numbers are even more disturbing. 70% of our young people are making up those who are under the age of 30. So if we continue to be in this House and have these positions of leadership without young people in them, it means that we're not resolving the problem, because young people are the most energetic. They are also the ones with the solutions and the bright new ideas. If we don't include them in Parliament, Madam Speaker, we will be ignoring half of the world's population, and more than 70% in Zambia. I'm going to take the House back to the liberation struggle of this country. When we fought for independence, it was mostly the young people who had the energy to be at the forefront. So even today, why would we move away from that? If we move away from that and we continue operating the way that we operate, it means that we've left them behind, and therefore we will not find solutions. Let's look across this House. Most of your members, Madam Speaker, this is the time that they must actually start considering their retirement. Young people have been left behind long enough in this country. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to move.
Thank you. Any further debate? The Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I just want to add a few words to the report that have been ably moved as well as seconded by Honorable Lungu. We appreciate that. The few comments that I want to add, Madam Speaker, relates to the issue of our climate and the issue of tree cutting. And just a few submissions on that, Madam Speaker. I come from Kembe constituency, where every time I'm in the constituency in the middle of the night, usually especially when I go to Chief Chitanda, coming back to Chief Liteta because of the two chiefdoms I have, you will not be surprised that as you drive back, especially in the night, you'll find maybe 5 to 7 trucks loaded with charcoal. This is in one day, and I'm not in the constituency every day. But the many times that I go there and we border with Mumbwa, some are coming from Mumbwa into Kamilambo area to Ipongo and all the way to Lusaka. What am I trying to say? We as a responsible government, with all the initiatives that we are doing, especially through the Minister of Green Energy, we need to begin to interrogate our systems and find cheaper energy sources for our people in rural constituencies like Kembe constituency. Because as long as that is not done, how are the people going to stop cutting the trees? To the committee. So until we begin to interrogate other sources of cheaper energy and also one that does not demand us cutting the trees, we may plant trees, but we may not yield the results that we need. As they say, when you plant a tree, you may never even enjoy that, but someone else will come and enjoy. So I think the first point is let's find cheaper energy sources if we are going to alleviate and meet the points that they have raised. Secondly, and I think this is where this new Dawn government under His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, his cabinet and the leadership of the Vice President, our able Vice President, we have introduced a system where every child in Zambia do not have to sit on the floor. Because of the new Dawn government, through the whopping 28.3 million kwacha, every member of parliament in this house can provide desks to their children. That is the new Dawn at work. And so with that, we also have to be mindful that our people are beginning to cut trees. Because the president has been clear that he wants to empower the local people. People at ward level, people at zone level. When others, the PF, were saying money in your pocket, there was no money that went to the people's pocket. But with this new Dawn government, money is going direct in the people's pockets. Why? Because now they can make desks. Now the contractors are local. And you can see my fellow whip, he's agreeing, Honorable Kampiongo, for all that has happened now.
Honorable
Yes.
Member, there is an indication for a point of order.
I'm supporting the report, Honorable Member. I think, are you still?
The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu, you have a point of order.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Standing Order 65, 1A, is very clear to all of us, and you have repeatedly guided honorable members on that standing orders. Content of speech. There is a report on the floor of this August House, ably moved by the honorable member of parliament for Karomo and seconded by the honorable MP for Chawama. Is the deputy whip, who is part of the executive actually, and should wait to debate maybe as a way of guidance. She's part of the executive, Madam Speaker. In the old system, it was like deputy minister, in order to make it clear. And she's supposed to wait and debate on the side of the executive. But other than that, is she in order to start bringing in matters that are not contained in the report, such as desk, more money in the pocket? Of course, the environment has got the desk production, but the more money in the pocket policy she's talking about is not competent to speak to that. And it's not part of the report. She referred to the former government which espoused the more money in the pocket, who are competent to speak to it. But is she in order, Madam Speaker, to sneak it in a debate when the report is so clear, and you guided yesterday on the same subject. But more importantly, she has to realize that now she's part of the executive. I seek your serious guidance, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Deputy Chief Whip, I was trying to follow you, especially when you started talking about the children sitting on desks. That actually, I connected it to the environment, where you are planting more trees so that maybe you'll be able to catch up with the provision of the desk. But where I got lost was the issue of the more money in the pocket. I don't know whether the money is for buying more desks, but the Honorable Whip, is it possible that please let's try as much as possible to stick to the report that is before us, so that the people who are listening, they may not try to think of other things, but they will be guided through your debate so that they follow the report which is before us. So please, can you be more focused? You may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and well guided. And that was the point, that because of the environment now, we also need to be mindful as we make these discs, we should also use MTF so that we do not cut the trees. And the money in the pocket is coming because now those who are making discs are local. So it's not just a one benefit side. There is a side where we are benefiting in terms of our environment, but also the money in the pocket. That was the point, Madam Speaker. And thirdly, Madam Speaker, I said I'll be brief. It is also for us, through the committee, your committee, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we begin to force our voices to the developed countries, because some of the environment effects we are facing in Africa, in Zambia, has been because of the industrialized countries. So that is why we, as a parliament and all of us in Africa, we need to raise our voices to the heads of states, especially those in developed countries, because some of the effects we are receiving in Africa are not necessary from Africa, from developed countries. With those few words, Madam Speaker, I want to submit that I salute the report from your office. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, peaceful coexistence is the theme of your report, which I thoroughly support. Madam Speaker, you can imagine that the balance between the application of the law and the respect for minority rights is the anchor of peaceful coexistence. Coexistence is founded on the fair application of the law. Constitutional provisions, laws on privilege, including standing orders. If those can be respected, if, particularly in our assembly, if we can respect the provisions in the Constitution that speak to the assembly, can respect the provisions of the laws on privilege, and respect the content of our standing orders in this respect, 2021, will promote coexistence on members in this assembly. Yeah. Madam Speaker, respecting the Constitution is allowing for members both on your right and left to be able to apply themselves in line with the provisions. It is allowing your members both on your right and left to be able to be supported by the provisions of the laws on privilege. It is making determinations in line with the provisions of standing orders. You cannot expect, Madam Speaker, peaceful coexistence if some of your members felt the provisions of the standing orders are not applicable to them. For example, if I rose on a point of order against perhaps the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security seated there, if the Minister breached
a standing order, I expect that the minister should be ruled out of order. That's my expectation. And if that minister also rose on a point of order against me and have breached the standing order, he should expect that I should be ruled out of order. Then you promote coexistence. And this promotion of coexistence will extend to the outside world or to the outside of this chamber. When a person is arrested, that person should be charged for the offense for which he is arrested. You can't arrest a person for no charge, only to charge them for assault. That you came and you assaulted an officer who came to arrest you, when that officer had no reason for arresting you in the first place. It's impossible, Madam Speaker.
Honorable member, from what I'm hearing, you are now trying to diverge or to move away from the report that is before us. It is actually becoming a bit too political. Our report is straightforward. If you just read the report well, I think there are a lot of issues that you can refer to instead of, in simple terms, attacking. Because you almost like came even to the office of the Speaker, where you said the minister cannot be ruled out of order. Can we please just stick to the report? The report is straightforward. It's very simple. Let's discuss it rather than bringing other issues which are outside the report. We are misleading the people out there. It's straightforward. So with that guide, Honorable Member, please stick to the report before you. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, I am a promoter of coexistence. And it is my sincere hope that every member in this House promotes coexistence. Balance between power and rights is a foundation of coexistence. When you have power, exercise it in such a manner that respects human rights. When you do so, Madam Speaker, you are promoting coexistence. Because observers of your actions will be able to say, that man with power in his hands, that woman with power in their hands.
Order, Honorable Member on the floor. There's an indication for a point of order. The Honorable Member for Momba, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to raise on a serious point of order. As you know, I rarely do such. The point of order, Madam Speaker, is premised on our Standing Order 65, 1A and B, and is against the Honourable Member of Parliament for Lunde. Madam Speaker, it's very obvious and straightforward that the Honourable Member of Parliament for Lunde has had no occasion to read through this report. And going by your, by your guide, that, Madam Speaker, there's need to restrict yourself to the matter at hand. And it's very obvious that the Honourable Member of Parliament has not read this report. Madam Speaker, is the Member of Parliament therefore in order, even when you have guided, to continue debating when it is obvious for everyone here that this Honourable Member has not gone through this report? Madam Speaker, I seek your serious ruling. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is, of course, Standing Order 65A. I had just guided to say, please, let's stick to the report. And Standing Order 65A says, confine his or her debate to the subject under discussion. I guided. It was very clear. But the Honourable Member is still insisting on the same issue. So maybe for the last time, the honorable member on the floor, can you please be focused on the report?
Yeah.
Before us, this very important report before us, so that we are happy it becomes relevant to the issues that are contained in the report. So the honorable member was actually out of order because he went too wide, leaving the report, which is there. So the honorable member, for the last time,
That's right.
can you please be focused to the report?
Madam Speaker, if there is a member of parliament I've coexisted with in this assembly for more years than any other, it's that honorable member, Honorable Fred Chaki. He has been my friend for over 20 years. Coexistence, Madam Speaker, and tolerance. Tolerating views that you may not necessarily like. Greed and fair competition. Greed and fair competition contained in the mover's speech, Madam Speaker, is a problem when it comes to coexistence. It is out of greed that you will see just a small group of people, becoming extremely wealthy as a result of illegal activities. Greed and fair competition, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether these views are so bad, that it is impossible to see that greed is a problem in as far as coexistence is concerned. Can you expect, Madam Speaker, illegal mining in KCM and expect that you are going to have coexistence? Can you expect, Madam Speaker, sewage right being stolen at the police and you think that you are going to have coexistence?
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Can you expect, Madam Speaker, that there could be 6.1 billion stolen and the police are quiet and you expect coexistence?
Point of order.
Honorable member, do we have evidence of what you've just said?
Yes, in the report,
That
my
sewage
colleague's
right
report.
has been stolen, that amount
Yes.
of money has been stolen. Is it possible you can lay it on the
No,
table?
I can bring the evidence at a later stage because I don't have it now.
And he has been guided.
Because we want to be sure that
for
those, what you are saying is backed by
For
evidence.
illegal mining, it's in my Honorable Chaplain's report, which he already laid on the floor. It's in his report. Illegal mining. Okay, I'll restrict myself to illegal mining.
Please, let's not bring issues where you have no evidence, because the people are listening. Once you say Suglite has been stolen, then the people who are out there, they will take what you are saying. But meanwhile, we don't have evidence. That's why I said...
No, I have evidence.
No, but you can lay it on the table so that we can use that information. We need to use that information to even tell the people out there. But when there is no evidence, it's very dangerous because we are not sure whether what you are saying is correct or not. Meanwhile, the people out there would have already gotten what you've said. That's why we usually demand for evidence for certain information. So, Honorable Member, for the sake of time,
Madam Speaker, I think for some people they want to hear that sewage light has not been stolen. So let me say they have not stolen sewage light, so that they are happier. Let me say that there is no FIC report showing that 6.1 billion has been stolen, so that the people are happier. But those who have seen the report, those who know that sewage light has been stolen, they are already settled with this matter. Madam Speaker, freedom of expression. Freedom of expression everywhere, including in the assembly, is a fundamental human right. In fact, in the assembly, it's even supported by not only the constitution, but also privileges and standing orders. So here, we are free to have intercourse. Very, very free. But also freedom of speech outside of this assembly. Outside of this assembly. Where should be free and
Order,
not fear.
honorable member.
Free and not
Order,
fear.
honorable member. Order. Please take your seat. We have now moved on to standing order number 67. Can we try to be relevant to what we are saying? Was I guided to say, please follow what the report is saying? I haven't seen any of what you are talking about in the report.
It's not there.
It's not there.
Thank you.
I'll be forced to move to the next member.
Yes. 8 minutes is good.
The honorable member for Chiruvi.
Yeah.
We want to complete this assignment. Yes, but you keep on repeating. You are not following the guide. No, you are not following the guide. I've guided you more than 3 times. But you keep on repeating the mistakes. Because I said, let's follow what is in the report. If you bring something outside the report, it should be connected to the report. Can I have the next member?
Yes.
That is the honorable member for Chiruvi.
From the report. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The report that has been presented, I'll try by all means, even when it's politically tempting, but I'll try by all means to stick to... Excuse me, can I flow? Madam Speaker, we have seen that we have attended different COPs, COP 27, COP 26, COP 21. But we are even going forward towards COP 28. But you find that the resolutions that are coming from those COPs, as they may be called, are not having a trickle-down effect on our environment. And I think the report has spoken to the issues of sustainable development. And I think for the people going by sustainable development, going by the people of Chiruvi, is, I think, creating a balance between the ecological sensitivity of and utilization of resources, especially natural resources, Madam Speaker, for economic development. What is happening, Madam Speaker, countrywide and even globally, is that we seem to be using raw materials, especially that are connected to nature, at a rate that does not resonate with economic development. And I think that is the concern of Manama, declaration. Madam Speaker, I want to underscore that the report talks about the loss of 420 hectares forests between 1990 and 2020 through deforestation. Zambia is not accepted from such a loss. But if we are to count of how much mukula and many other species of trees that went out of the country or that was wasted, equivalent to the economic benefit, I think things will be at parallel. Madam Speaker, what this is calling for is an issue of forest-related registration and ecological fiscal reforms that we need to embark on, and I think a starting point is this House. Madam Speaker, if you realize that the issue of ecological fiscal reforms should be a starting point in this House is that we now have a green economy ministry that has also been part of attending the COPs that I mentioned earlier. But if you look at what commitment we are putting, especially through budgetary allocation, it's something that's supposed to be a sorry sight. Madam Speaker, allow me to dwell on the issue of cybercrime. We know that Zambia has registration to that effect, but it's a new law. That, in this case, is supposed to serve to protect the citizenry, especially the citizenry as they interact in cyberspace. We know that the implementation of cybercrime law currently, I think it's in some way, to state the way things are, has been politicized. And I think we want to take it away from political polarization, such that if, for instance, a person from the who is perceived to be an enemy of the ruling government is found wanting in terms of cyberspace abuse, they should be taken on the same scale, like a person who is from the ruling party. But what we have seen, even currently, there are a lot of cases that are not explained yet, which this report has spoken to, that are supposed to be attended. We know that Zambia, in trying to be part of the group, introduced that law through this house. But the implementation is haphazard, because the implementation is biased, and the implementation has to be attended to. Madam Speaker, we know that every law comes up with different challenges that has to be arrested through different means. And I think, Madam Speaker, part of the issues that we are supposed to do is to create a cyber crime center away from ZICTA. And in creating a cyber center away from ZICTA, because currently ZICTA, I think it's more like you've been used to be an instrument of following and ambushing some of the people at shopping malls and all that through arrests, which is not supposed to be the case. But it's supposed to be an instrument that is supposed to protect every citizen. Madam Speaker, when I say it's supposed to be an instrument to protect every citizen, I expect the cyber crime center that I have in mind to protect children from cyber abuse, to protect the women from cyber abuse. And largely, the politicians are the most abused in cyberspace. And when I say politicians, I'm including politicians from different political divide, which has not been taken into serious concern. Madam Speaker, I think I will be missing out the point if I do not underscore the coexistence that this report is talking about. Madam Speaker, when I went through this report, I had in mind Article 76 of our Constitution. I had in mind many more standing orders that encourage freedom of expression, including Article 20 of our Constitution that speaks to how different citizens are supposed to interact in a democratic space. But I think, Madam Speaker, of late, what we have observed in the nation is that the democratic space is shrinking. Yes, the democratic space is shrinking in that when we look at institutions that are supposed to encourage democratic space, including this House, Madam Speaker, we seem, for instance, if we are to pick just our standing order, you find that when we are introduced as MPs, we are supposed to be meeting as a common denominator in our standing orders. Where you, as the chair and the members of parliament, belong to the left and the right, we are supposed to agree to resolve our conflicts using the standing orders. But the standing order implementation, where you stand for a point of order, then before you talk, you have to clarify what you want to talk about and many other factors. And I think that's the tolerance that this report is speaking to. And I think, Madam Speaker...
Honorable Member,
yes.
Your standing orders were formulated by the members in the House.
Yes.
So if you don't agree with your own standing orders, that is why there is a review, so that it suits you. So please keep that in mind, that these were formulated by the House, for the House. They didn't come from outside. So please take a proactive stance so that you contribute as much as possible to the review process. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, your member is not talking in vacuum. I'm one of those that have actually submitted to that effect. The moment Parliament was opened, there was a call to review standing orders. I don't know what has happened to my submission. And I think, Madam Speaker, I'm part of the problem. I am not trying to wash away and say that I'm not part of this problem. What I was trying to talk about and underscore is the coexistence where the standing orders becomes the common denominator. For instance, if I understand one line of a standing order, it should be understood uniformly by the chair, not where the chair is the only one who should interpret and we are all ignorant about standing orders. And I think that's what I was trying to drive home about, Madam Speaker. I rest my case, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiengi, in the report, your name is indicated that you are a member. Yes. Yes, the member who undertook this trip. Your name is there. That's why I've been skipping you, because from precedence we do not allow members belonging to a committee to debate their own committee unless if there is nobody. But did you undertake this trip with the committee? You did, madam. Yesterday somebody was not allowed, so we'll go that way. Now she's not a member. That's why I'm asking, did you go with this committee? Did you go
Thank you,
with
Madam
this committee
Speaker.
for this assignment?
Madam Speaker, I've been going to IPU on a side event, advisory group. I'm not even a member of the Zambia IPU committee. I'm not a member. Vazeze valishupa.
Order, honorable member, I'm just following the report. We'll move on to the honorable member for Kanchivia.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you and allow me from inception to say that I'll narrow my debate to issues around deforestation, reforestation, or afforestation, because this touches on the interests of the people I represent in this House, the people of Kanchivia constituency. I make reference to sustainable development as highlighted on page 7 of this report, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the advent of the green economy is supposed to translate into economic benefits for rural constituencies. What we have seen, however, Madam Speaker, is the zeal by forestry and other departments to go after those who burn charcoal without providing the opportunity space that comes with the green economy. We do agree and understand that deforestation ought to be mitigated against, that we need to go full throttle with reforestation or afforestation. But, Madam Speaker, the question then becomes, what do we do, or what becomes of the rural farmer in Kanchivia constituency, in Chaweshimfwamba, Tundua forestry, and other areas where we've got forests, or that local farmer in Kanchivia constituency who seeks to benefit from the carbon credits that come with a green economy. And I say this because I'm mindful that the minister for this very crucial ministry is in the House. There hasn't been as much publicity or maybe policy or regulation as to how our people could tap into this particular opportunity.
Order. There is an indication for a point of order by the honorable member for Solwezi East. What is your point of order, honorable member?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Pursuant to our standing order number 65, the honorable member for Chiengi just used a statement that was Zezewari Shupa. So I want to find out who or she is alleging that it was Zeze, and what does it mean? I seek your serious ruling, Madam
The
Speaker.
honorable member for Chiengi, please, you have no right to answer the honorable member who is on the floor. Order, Honorable Member for Chiengi. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East, what standing order has been breached?
Yes. Standing order number 65, part B. Language of speech, you can read, don't you stand with...
Thank you, Honorable Member. For that issue, actually, I was thinking about it and I've asked the clerks at the table just to verify who was meant to receive that statement. Was it for the Speaker or for the members of Parliament? Again, that is parliamentary language. And it was not translated as well, so that we could know what the Honorable Member for Chiengi meant when he said Wazeze, because all what I can see in this house, they are only honorable members of Parliament. There are no Wazeze, there are no any other names apart from the honorable members of Parliament. Even the people that are listening, all the honorable member who is moving up and down, even the people that are listening, I'm sure they are wondering whether we have Vazeze, whatever it means in the house. Because this is a dignified house, full of only MPs. So if we try to bring in any other names, please, especially names that are parliamentary, let's not do that. We are honorable members. We deserve to be respected wherever we are, starting from this house. Even as we go outside, people should be able to respect you as honorable members of Parliament. Whether we differ on opinion, but the fact still remains that we are dignified, we are honorable members of Parliament, and the people see us as such. So let's refrain from using unparliamentary words, especially when we are in the house. Because this is the people's house. It's not your house, it's not my house, it's the people's house. So they deserve, or you deserve, to be respected. And respect is earned. So with that guide, Honorable Member, especially the Honorable Member for Chiengi, please, whether we disagree with what the others are talking about, let's refrain from using those provoking or unparliamentary words. We are all honorable members. Thank you. Who was on the floor? Kanchivia, you may continue.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. Madam Speaker, before I was rudely interrupted, I was making a clarion call to the Minister for Green Economy that we need regulation, we need policy for that local farmer in Chaweshimfuamba in Kanchibia, for that local farmer in Tundua in Kanchibia to understand that how can they benefit from the carbon credits. We have been told that the green economy is a gold mine. But from where we sit, Madam Speaker, there hasn't been regulation, there hasn't been policy brought to this House for us to translate to our people and say that if you stop charcoal burning, this is how you are going to earn your livelihood and sustain your livelihood. And so, my appeal goes to the Minister for Green Economy and the Ministry at large that they need to do more in sensitizing communities, but also in coming up with solid regulation, solid policy, especially for rural communities, holding all these forests and farmlands, etc. I'll bring another example, Madam Speaker, very close to home in Kanchibia. We have the Zampam plantation, and I know there'll be a report coming at some point to this House. This plantation, if we are going to talk about carbon credits, is supposed to be earning and tapping into the millions of dollars that come with this particular opportunity space, such that recapitalizing this particular facility should not even give IDC a headache, should not give anyone a headache. but there's no regulation, there's no policy. Madam Speaker, our local communities wish to understand the number of carbon credits they will earn per acre or per hectare. So if I'm going to grow a particular species of trees, how much am I going to earn? Regulation must be very clear, policy must be very clear in that regard. Awareness of the tree species earning the most carbon credits, that is what we need from the ministry. Otherwise, short of that, our people need to survive and they'll continue to cut down trees because they must earn a living. Madam Speaker, carbon credits and carbon itself ought to be fronted as a marketing tool. So the developed world is committing environmental sins and we are paying the price. But what is in it for us? And this is a question that our people will ask from rural areas, such as the people I represent from Kanchbia. How do we attract private sector investment to work with rural communities to reduce carbon emissions and secure better environmental outcomes? As we sit, Madam Speaker, it is possible that there are private sector companies earning from these forests in rural areas without the locals themselves getting any single benefit. And again, we are making a clarion call on the ministry that come up with regulation, come up with policy. We want to understand, because where we are as rural communities with all the vegetation and all the trees, we must not be poor. We must be rich. If at all the green economy is not a myth, then we must be prosperous. We must be wealthy as rural communities. Madam Speaker, how can rural communities, rural farmers, leverage on carbon credits in agriculture? These are questions that the ministry ought to answer and provide a clear roadmap and tell us this is where the money is and this is how you can benefit from this particular space. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I wish to support the call for sustainable development and still place a demand on the ministry to come out very clear on how rural communities will start benefiting from this particular space. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you very much, Madam. And to thank the representative of the committee that went to Bahrain to come up with these resolutions. Madam, at the 146th Assembly, issues as what Honorable Kamboni shared with the House were discussed and resolutions were made. I want to state that these did not just come from osmosis. They have a historic perspective, and I would like to invite you